Welcome to Ultimate Report. I'm Mary Winkenwerder. Have you ever wondered why your current diet or exercise routine isn't working for you? After putting in a great amount of time and energy into shaping your body and finding out that none of it works, some would give up. Fret not. There is a way to make this happen in your favor. This episode, we meet with Danielle Pashko to find out more about how to break your fat girl habits. Danielle, welcome to Ultimate Report.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's great to have you join us. This is quite valuable. So it is in my opinion anyway. What inspired you to write the book? And when you wrote it, what gap in the market did you seek to fill?
I think I just know how important you understand as a woman, how we put so much emphasis on, being thin and the way we look and we want to be healthy. And I think the trend has moved to being really health-minded, which is a great thing. I think people are really into juicing and vegetarianism and eating in markets like Whole Foods and exercising and yoga and all these great things. But I think people also have certain misconceptions of what they think is healthy. And I wanted to write this book because I've been in this industry for over 15 years. And even myself as a healthcare practitioner, I used to have a lot of issues getting to the weight that I wanted in a healthy way. And I would struggle. I would work out twice a day and I would restrict myself with eating certain foods. And I would put all this pressure on myself to look a certain way and to be in a certain state of health, but yet a lot of my efforts weren't manifesting the goals that I was hoping for. So after having gone through my own trials and tribulations and worked with a lot of clients, I've been able to understand where they're making their mistakes and how I could actually correct them and have them work smart, not hard, so they can achieve really sustainable goals without killing themselves, because we work so hard. So if we're going to spend all this time putting energy and focus into, having a healthy body and having a fit body, our efforts might as well pay off. So this book is to ensure that those efforts seek out the body that we want to have.
So how is your book different from other books on the market that may be seen as similar?
Okay, well, I don't know if there's any book that's completely similar. I think mine gives a little wiggle room to actually enjoy your life, to be able to maintain healthy habits, but I'm by no means a purist. I have been at one point. I was super strict and super regimented, and this book's a way to allow you to maintain healthy behaviors, but also to enjoy life and really to make it stick. And also just notice little tweaks that you can make that you might have thought you've been doing everything right, but just little tweaks that you can make that you're like, oh my God, how did I miss that? And once you catch it, it's like for the future going forward, you'll be able to, correct that situation and really get into the shape that you want.
That's great. So the title of this book is very direct and to the point. Does the content follow suit?
Well, breaking your fat girl habits. I think, the way that started was I would be around my friends who were having trouble losing weight, and they were always, doing sort of healthy things and what they thought was healthy. For example, I had a friend, and at night we'd come home after going out for, maybe a little party or something, and she would be, I'm so starving. I'm going to be good. I'm just going to have 2 bowls of cereal before bed so I don't, end up eating anything bad, junk food before I go to sleep. And I was like, oh, that's such a fat girl habit. Don't do that. You're never going to lose weight. So I think the way the name came up with this is it was sort of a joke that I used to call my friends, saying that they had fat girl habits because of things that were sabotaging them that they weren't aware of. So this is sort of all those diet saboteurs that we don't really know about. So when I say fat girl habits, I'm not saying, I'm not particularly talking to a fat girl. It's just the habits that we have that will encourage us to not lose weight.
So looking at the book, who can successfully benefit from reading this and actually putting this into practice?
I think anybody. I think anyone, any woman that just takes an interest in being healthy. You don't have to be overweight to read this book. It's really just learning how to enjoy your life and be more healthful, but also, like I said, not take it to an extreme and really work smart, not hard, and it's tips how not to kill yourself and still maintain the body you want. So anybody can really benefit.
That's wonderful. So how difficult is it to break fat girl habits, as you call them?
I think the first step is to really not listen to a million people when you're trying to do this. I think the biggest issue now that we have is we have all this information floating around Google and Pinterest and YouTube videos all over, and we get sort of misled in terms of which direction to go. So I think if someone could just follow this and maybe even keep this information to themselves and just work on not getting disrupted by outside sources, I think that would be beneficial.
That sounds wonderful. So what are the main fat girl habits we need to know about that we may be doing that we're unaware of?
Okay. I think there's a big trend towards vegetarianism these days, which actually I'm a fan of. I have no problem with being a vegetarian. I think the issue with that in particular is there's all these health food cafes that are popping up, and they're very trendy and hip and very exotic things on the menu. And you start to look at the quality of food that's replacing otherwise would be healthy proteins like chicken and fish or meat. So now you may have a burger made out of nuts or beans, or you may have a piece of steak made out of seitan or tempeh. It's not tempeh, or TVP, texturized vegetable protein, which none of these things sound bad. But if you think about how many nuts it would take to put together a burger, or how many beans it would take to mash up an actual protein the size of a burger, calorically, it can be more than you accounted for. Or even if you're using something like TVP, texturized vegetable protein, or seitan, instead of having red meat, you may be eating glutinous products that have, gluten. They could be having MSG that you would never expect from a health food restaurant. Now you throw on the sauces and some of the sides, the marinades they're soaked in. So in order to make it taste good, there's a lot of artificial things that are even being added to our so-called healthy items. And that meal that you thought replaced an otherwise meat meal or chicken meal or poach or fish meal now may be 1,000 calories and a hefty amount of fat. So I think just because it comes from a health food place or it says vegetarian does not necessarily mean that it's healthy.
Wow, that's yeah, I can most certainly attest to that. I've been through that, and it really, you really have to watch, and you have to watch the nutrition that you choose to take in, and you have to know what makes it up, and of course the caloric intake and such, because it will come back, it will bite you. Most certainly.
It's true, and not even limited to just vegetarian foods. Even if you're eating let's say, I know the gluten-free trend is very big right now, and this is a big problem which I see with clients, is that gluten-free, it's obviously healthier, and I really say just to kind of avoid all gluten-free snacks and any gluten-free cookies or crackers or anything that's basically in a box or a bag. Just avoid it. Eat foods that are naturally gluten-free. That means they don't have gluten to start off with, and they're not being swapped out for something else. A lot of these non-gluten products, just like gluten-free bread, as you probably know, a lot of times it's made with potato starch or rice flour. It actually spikes your insulin levels. It's normally more calories. So one slice of rice bread is probably double the calories of a slice of whole wheat bread, double the carbohydrates, and also spikes your insulin levels, which leaves us storing fat. So I'm not a fan of eating bread either way, and I'm not saying to go for the whole wheat over the gluten-free. I'm just saying don't get fooled into thinking because it's gluten-free that it's actually healthier for you.
So when we're in the supermarket, or even when we're doing research at home before moving into a healthier lifestyle, how can we identify these culprits and turn them around and make these situations work for us?
Try to make as many of your meals as natural as possible and as fresh as you can. So for example, I don't really plan my meal until I'm about to eat it. So I might come home from work one day and I figure, I'm going to have something healthy. Maybe I'll grab a piece of fish. I'll pick that up. I'll actually pick up some vegetables on the way home. If I have a little bit of quinoa, and I just make it, kind of make it on the fly. Whereas if you're going to have a lot of snack foods that are lying around and you have them stored and sorry, I just got thrown off by your question for a second.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so we want to identify these culprits and we want to turn them around and make these situations work for us. How can we do that?
Okay, so one important thing is when you're having a lot of foods that you're food shopping for, I think it's important to not have things that are pre-made. So if you're looking at whether it's rices that are already made or pre-made veggie products or anything that's already in a box or a bag or pre-made like that, don't even bother with it. Try to do as much as you can from scratch. And that doesn't have to be difficult. So honestly, the easiest way to cook your foods, to do it really quickly, you can take vegetables you can get from a farmer's market, and to give them flavor, you can give them spices, you can put a little bit of olive oil, put it on a baking sheet, throw it in the oven for 30 minutes, and it's pretty simple, and then you have your protein. But try to do as many naturally prepared meals as you can, because anything that you get that's already frozen or pre-made is just going to be trouble, even if it's marketed as healthy. So if you get it in the health food store and it looks like a pre-made healthy meal, better off just doing it on your own.
Gotcha. Okay. So Danielle, where can we purchase your book right now?
Right now, you can purchase the book at barnesandnoble.com or Amazon. And if you're in New York, I'm in a couple of stores around the city.
Fantastic. And where can we catch up with Danielle Pashko's online communities?
You can reach me at pashkowellness.com. And then, of course, Facebook and Twitter, which is at Danielle Pashko.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Danielle, thanks so much for joining us. It's been lovely visiting with you and learning more about how we can break our fat girl habits.
Great. Thank you for having me.
All right. Catch up with me on my blog, www.beautybeautereport.com, on Twitter at beautypublicist, and of course on YouTube, Ultimate Report. Everyone, thanks so much for joining us on Ultimate Report. Have a beautiful and successful week. Mwah.
Thank you.